What's going on, guys? Brent031, and if you don't recognize this individual, this is John with UW Gear, also Alpha Charlie Concepts on YouTube. Be sure to check him out. But I'm down here in his neck of the woods, down in the swamp in Florida, and visiting him for the first time. We've known each other for over a decade, kind of paralleling each other with content and stuff. But we've talked and feel like I've known him my whole life. But this is the first time I've actually gone out here and met him in person. So it's just fantastic to be in your AO. Doing some filming here. So
fun stuff today.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a joint camouflage effectiveness video. Okay, and the pattern that we got on, these are smocks from 0241 Tactical, and then we got the legendary UW Gear chest rigs made in this pattern. Now, what is this pattern? Well, several months back, John kind of gave me some insider knowledge on a pattern that 0241 Tactical and he had been talking about and working on, and essentially it was based off the Red Dawn camouflage pattern that the Russians were using in that movie, right? It wasn't a real Russian pattern.
The first movie.
Yes, the only movie in my opinion. But yeah, so this pattern is based off of that. But I'm going to turn it over to John. He can talk a little bit better about it than I can.
Yeah, so basically, if you remember from the original Red Dawn, the snow pattern that the Russian paratroopers used, and it was the white, brown, and reddish colored pattern. Well, my buddy Sean at 241 recreated that pattern, and he's been doing clothing and stuff in it for a while now, and it's been a really good seller for him. Just, you know, I think it actually works halfway decent in broken up snow. But if a lot of you don't know, so just a little tidbit of history behind that. They used that pattern for the movies. They had to create it and make it because at the time they were making that in the early 80s, they couldn't actually get the real Russian patterns via middle of the Cold War, right? So they had to create something to use, and that's what it was. So what my buddy Sean ended up doing was taking that same Red Dawn pattern and he scaled it up into a larger macro type scale of the pattern, and then he and I were bouncing around ideas on it, and he came up with the idea of throwing the Woodland colors into it off of M81. And then I said, well, if you do that, make the tans and such and the greens a little more prominent and a little less of the darker brown and black, and let's see what happens. And this is the result of what you got. So he's been just calling it the no-name pattern because he didn't have a name for it, but Brent and I have been chatting, and I don't know that the name's going to stick, but we like calling it the Wolverine pattern for obvious freaking reasons. Because, I mean, what better communist slaying movie is there than the original Red Dawn? I mean, you know, if you're guys like us that you grew up on that stuff, I mean, there's a certain amount of nostalgia to it, but at the same time, if you can have something with some nostalgia but it's actually effective, why not? I mean, you get the best of both worlds. So we're running in tribute the good Kalashnikovs today, and got the rigs. We're gonna do our usual thing that both of us have been doing, like Brent said, over a decade. We literally uploaded videos. Our first camo videos were within a week of each other, and we ended up connecting and hooking up, you know, a couple of months later, and just have you know, been in touch ever since. And it's just our first opportunity to actually get together. I mean, I've been on a number of his live streams, as you know, a lot of you have seen, and haven't recently just because of life and events. But we're going to try to rectify that in the future, and probably going to start dragging him over to some of my live streams too, so we can do a little cross-pollination there with the subscriber base. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to have fun with the pattern.
Yeah, and you know, it's important to note that you know, obviously we just have the smocks on. We don't even have, you know, the corresponding boonies or trousers. So this is just something like, hey, you got your normal everyday wear, you know, and you can get one of these 0241 tactical pullover smocks, and like, hey, shit hits the fan, freaking, you throw on your smock and your UW chest rig, and you get to work.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things. I'm glad Brent brought that up, because that's one of the things I've told you guys before on my channel, is that, you know, you can have all matching camis, and that's great, and there's a reason why, and it works. But at the same time, I've also told y'all, if you just don't have the money, aren't in a situation to, you know, completely outfit or whatever, you can still be very effective with a good top and some solid coyote, khaki, OD green pants, and you can still get the job done that you need to do without a lot of money. And you can get these in the pullovers like these, or he also does them in the zip up smock lights. That's actually my favorite, is that zip up smock light, just because down here with our heat and humidity and stuff, I can unzip it a little bit and let a little, I don't know if it's letting cool air in or the hot stank air out, but one way or the other, I like having that little zip. But these are the pullovers. Y'all have watched my other videos on it. We won't get into all the details of them. If you want that, go to my channel and look it up. You see it. Don't you have one up on the tops?
I have done other videos that feature the tops. But
Okay.
I don't think I've...
Okay. Well, you can go find out. If you've got questions about them, then we can fill you in on that. But again, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try this out together and have a little fun, and hopefully bring you guys a little something different that's along the lines of what we normally do, but maybe a little different at the same time. So
Yeah. All right, guys, let's get to it. All right, guys, that completes this camouflage effectiveness over this no-name camouflage pattern. hopefully he does get a name here soon. But
Still
I
liking
guess,
Wolverine.
yeah, I mean, to me, and John, you know, we'll hear what you have to say about it. To me, it kind of looks like a faded Woodland, and I see people all the time talking about how, you know, faded Woodland is their favorite camouflage pattern, right? So it's like Woodland camouflage is great out of the box, but a lot of people say, hey, once it fades a little bit, it's even better. So to me, it kind of gives that appearance, and this is how it is coming out of the gate.
Yeah.
So, John, what do you got, man?
Well, I mean, like I said, I was issued Woodland back in the day, and I think you were too when you first went in. So we're old school Woodland cami guys anyway, and yeah, some of the best old camis was good, well worn, well washed, used Woodlands that, you know, people would at the time, oh man, those are all faded and nasty looking. Yep, works great. So yeah, just echoing what Brent said. I mean, I think this stuff, and on that same fading thought. So these tops are brand new, right? We're just getting them out for the first time. As we use them and they get dirtied up a little bit, get scuffed up on the, you know, the terrain environment, get washed a few times, they're going to start kind of taking in their own, you know, hues and character and fading as well. So I think that's one of the points not to forget, to get out and use the stuff and get it broke in and worn in, and you'll really get a better picture of how it works or doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this looks, because
I am too.
John and I were both, you know, saying while we were doing this camouflage effectiveness video, like, holy crap, that looks good out there, right? So if it doesn't look good on camera, I can assure you
it does in person.
It looks good in person. And we've always said, like, hey, these camouflage effectiveness videos are not the end-all be-all to a camouflage pattern's effectiveness, right? What works in one area might not work in the other. Oh, and by the way, you're looking through a camera that may or may not be enhancing an image or decreasing an image, right? You look at Instagram all the time with these hot chicks, and then if you happen to see them in person, they might not look what they look like on Instagram.
The reality often doesn't match the picture.
Yeah. So, you got any closing comments, man?
No, man, I'm excited to see what it looks like on the video. I want to get back to the house and edit it and take a look at it and see on the computer. But no, I hope you guys liked it. Again, we're just somewhat jokingly thinking of calling it the Wolverine pattern, but I don't know if Sean will adopt that for it or not. We're going to probably pitch it and suggest it to him.
He should.
But again, like we said kind of in the opening, I mean, you can be really effective as an armed prepared citizen with a simple top like this and a solid pair of pants.
Yeah, 100%.
Be it OD green, khaki, coyote-ish, whatever. It is a good combo that will work. Similar to, the best way I think I describe it, if you've ever seen the movie Lone Survivor, they were wearing tricolor desert pants and woodland tops in that wooded mountainous region. And that's, in real life, that's what those guys did. So sometimes there is something to that of having a little bit lighter solid on the bottom and something different on top. So consider that, and you can make it your own effective setup.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching this video and you did think this was effective, like, take note of the fact that, hey, we're wearing those solid coyote khaki colored trousers, and all we did was throw a camouflage smock on, camouflaging our upper torso, and look with the camouflage effectiveness that it delivered to us. So take that, for your go bag, you might want to consider having something like a smock in there.
Throw in and toss over, and another, just piggyback on it. So we got matching chest rigs, obviously, right? But with the colors in this, I honestly think you could probably get away with a solid coyote chest rig. I think it would probably blend in with the pattern pretty well. Even if you couldn't find it like in this pattern, if you already had some coyote gear and you wanted to use this, man, a can of brown Krylon and a couple of swipes across the gear, I bet it would match this pretty doggone good.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Because you can wear a coyote, OD
just about
green,
anything. Yeah.
Any of that stuff with woodland camouflage.
Yep.
So
that's about all I got.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I do want to say one last thing. Going to one shepherd and having the luxury of going up against different camouflage patterns. At one shepherd, you will experience OD and woodland, and at times I've experienced multicam. And I gotta tell you, up in Missouri, going up against dudes with woodland camouflage, I found at one time our enemy was wearing both Woodland and multicam. Like it was a combination of
Right.
both versus OD. The Woodland guys were harder for me to observe and detect than the multicam guys. And there's a lot of Woodland, or excuse me, multicam fanboys out there, and I'm not, you know, degrading the camouflage pattern. It is a good camouflage pattern, but in that particular environment, I was seeing those tan-based multicam utilities over the Woodland a lot easier.
Yeah.
So
on multicam real quick, one of the things I've always said about multicam can be a great pattern in the areas that it works good in. The problem I've always had in it is the freaking die-hard cult fanboys that like it just works everywhere all the time and everything. No, it's like any other pattern. There are areas it works good in. There are areas that it doesn't work so good in. It's probably always better than nothing, but maybe not. You might be better off with solid OD green or something, you know, again, because you've got solid OD guys up there at One Shepherd as well. So, you know.
Fantastic. It works fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great up there. So
That's all I got.
all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a comment.